Bottom line is that life is short and the window to work on earth and honor God in all we do is limited. Today I'm going to show you that our vocation and all that we do in light of work in any form is like the farmer who works his farm while there's light during the daytime, because once the sun sets, there's no more time for him to go out and work the fields. Hey everybody, welcome back to Reason for Truth. I'm your host, Stevie Garofalo. Truth comes first, reasons come last. We're always and constantly learning in our data age, because we stop learning good content and wisdom. We stop teaching well. And that's the bottom line. So looking at the New Testament, book of John, chapter 9, verse 4 says this: we must work the works of him who sent me while it's day. Why? Night is coming when no one can work. Not when no one will work, but when no one just can work. So what stands out to me about this last part of this verse is night is coming when no one can work. That's pretty spooky in a way. But what John is saying is that we ought to be working, because despite all our technology in the world, the day is coming when we're not going to be able to work, period. What does that mean? Well, it's a pretty wide statement. Every man and woman has a particular work mission in their life. King Solomon puts it this way: whatever your hands find to do, do it with all your might. For there is no work or thought of knowledge or wisdom in Sheol, where you're going. Ecclesiastes 9:10. In other words, listen, you work while you can, because limited time. When your time's up, you go to be with the Lord, you have no more chances to work. Well, going back to part one, remember what we talked about. There's no guarantee. Success often doesn't go to always the best or the swiftest, but there's chance involved with that. And there's God's timing. Despite being the best or being number one, we're called to be the best, in that we can do the best with what God's given us. And sometimes that changes. For example, how many artists become famous or don't become famous? How many great artists are undiscovered? The answer is most. Most artists are undiscovered. Why? Because the best is often subjective and has very little to do with the objectives of set criteria that they may post as, okay, this is what makes the best, whatever, artist, guitar player, singer, dancer, whatever it might be. But what does this mean? In proper context, working while there's day, because night is coming, is a reference to the earthly work of Jesus, which was soon coming to an end. He was about to be crucified. That's what he was speaking about, literally there. Verse 5 is the second time Jesus claims, I am what? The light of the world, meaning that his disciples were to work while he, Jesus, the light of the world, was with them in physical form before his crucifixion. Then, as we know, the Holy Spirit would be with them as he is with us today. Then he says, for you and I today, this has clear implication or application, an indirect, if not direct, interpretation. I think it's both, So what Jesus is saying is what Jesus is saying. That's what he meant. But there's definitely indirect application, and maybe perhaps direct application for his disciples once he was gone, and for us today especially, that we're in this lost world and that we have to work while it's light. Well, for us, we didn't get to walk with Jesus, right? We have the Holy Spirit. But for an application today, Jesus is going to return. So I think in that sense, yes, darkness is coming. And when he comes, he's going to rapture, that he's going to bring Armageddon and all that stuff. That's the darkness. There's not going to be any time for us. We're going to be raptured. Boom. Then God will bring the 144,000 Messianic Jewish evangelists. But that's not most of us. I'm a Gentile. So in other words, I have to work while there's light. If Jesus comes back tomorrow, I have to be found working. The bottom line is that we are to work now. Night is coming when none of us can work. Verse 4, while this is referring to the time of the crucifixion, I want to repeat this, when the disciples would be scattered and Christ will neither teach nor do miracles, Jesus spoke to them in this parable. And that's what he was saying to them. In principle, though, he was saying, man, you got to get to work because, time is coming. I'm not going to be with you. So work while the light's here with you. I think we need to take the same attitude today. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. Verse 5. And if Jesus comes back this afternoon, we have to make good while there's light. So looking back to Ecclesiastes, no person knows what tomorrow brings, whether he or she is going to be alive or even if they're going to be able to live out their faith, serve the Lord. due to the darkness of the evil and persecution. And I think in application, we can say, listen, we have to work while we're able, while we have a job, while we have our health. I think in application, not interpretation. And that's a good lesson for us. We have to make the most of what God's given us to his glory while we're here on earth. Listen, in conclusion, success can only be attained while we have time to be successful, while it's light. Everybody, thank you for tuning in for another episode of Reason for Truth. Listen, take this to heart, all right? We talk about success. We want to make sure we work while it's light because we don't know when we'll be gone. We got to make sure we serve the Lord in our mission while it's light. I'll leave it at that. You already heard the whole episode. Make sure you do a few things. While it's light, go and get equipped. EquippedAcademy.com. Some great courses over there. You could also get to the same place by ChristianOnlineTraining.com. You can love it. Go check out, take a course. Also, make sure that you do a few things. Share this with your friends and give it a like. What does that hurt? It's free. And above all things, bam, Gonzalo Sinistro, subscribe and hit that alert bell. We'll see you at the next episode. I'm your host, Stevie Garofalo, and this is your Reason for Truth.